souls, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michelle. We talk all things life, love, spirituality, law of attraction, all of that juicy goodness. In this video, we are going to talk about getting kicked out of the universal flow and what that might look like, how to get back in. What if you don't even know what it feels like to be in alignment and to be in the flow? And I'm going to teach you how it shows it, how it manifests in your life, because when you're in alignment and when you're in the flow, you are opening all doors for your manifestations to arrive, but we can often get kicked out of the flow. So I actually just spoke to my mentor recently and I asked her opinion. I said, hey, I'm going to make a video on this. I know how I perceive it in my mind, and everything I've learned is through her and through basically just through her, especially this topic. And it has a lot to do with the mind and how the mind likes to jump in and try to control our lives. And the whole point of learning this is to understand that, you know, once you master what I teach you in this video, life becomes effortless. And it really is easy, and it's not as difficult as everybody else experiences it. So you end up being that person that just gets everything brought to you. You get the opportunities, you get the money, you get the flow in your life, and you're just like, you know, people are looking at you going, why does all good things always come to that person? And it's because of what you're about to learn in this video. And when I learned this with my mentor, I would literally remember being like, how was I so blessed to be in her presence? She's a beautiful Brazilian woman in her early 50s. I'm not going to age her, but she is just such a light. And maybe I'll put a picture up so you guys can see what she looks like. We've been working together now for almost 4 years, and I don't know where I would be without her. She has taught me everything I know. She has humbled me. She has kicked my ego to the curb, or at least taught me how to kick my ego to the curb, which is, I think, why so many of you enjoy watching my videos, because hopefully I show up without the ego. And what that might look like is somebody who just is heartfelt. I want to just share these messages without any gain for myself. I just want to help you. And I want to help you suffer less. So let's dive in. So a lot of what I'm going to teach you today is what my mentor, Anna, taught me. Her name is Anna Castro. I will leave a link to her website below. She is amazing. So what does it mean to be in the flow? And Anna taught me that it's like the movie Nemo. You know how all the turtles are in the current and all of a sudden, you know, Nemo gets bumped out. And that's what the universal flow is. That's when you're manifesting, when you're in that current. It's an invisible current. And in our lives, in our human bodies, it can only be felt. We don't know if we're in or out unless we feel it. And what being in alignment feels like is effortless. Everything is easy. The universe brings you your next steps. You are seeing the signs, you're seeing the synchronicities, and you're not having any kind of like, is that a bad sign? Is that a good sign? No, you just know you're being taken care of. You feel secure. You feel safe. You are just in the flow. You know, this is what it is. You know that you're not in control of your life. You are not putting pressure on yourself. You are loving yourself. You're doing things that make your heart sing. You are just feeling good. You know how to soothe yourself. You're taking time to be alone. You're doing your self-care routines, and life just is flowing all nicely. But part of the path is something is going to kick us out of that flow. We're going to get kicked out of the current, and it's part of our path. It's part of learning this process. And what happens when we get kicked out of that current, our mind takes over. Our mind then starts to grip, and it says, we got to figure this out. We can't trust that flow. We can't go back into that current. That doesn't take us anywhere. Meanwhile, the current is always moving and it's effortless, and you don't have to do a damn thing other than just fly around in it and like dance and play, right? So the ego will tell you, don't get back in the current. It's not taking you anywhere. The ego is like, we're going to go and we're going to try to drive this bus, and we're going to try to take, you know, our lives wherever we're supposed to go. And that's where life gets difficult. That's when you start attracting people that are triggering you. That's when you start getting certain situations happening that are very difficult. and your mind is trying to figure your life out. Your day-to-day experience almost feels like torture because you've gotten out of the current and you're now trusting something that has no flow. It's literally stagnant. It's not moving. The current was moving and now you're out of it and you're standing still with this voice that's beating you up for standing still. So I hope that makes sense. So that's kind of like the visual that I have in my mind, thinking about the manifesting journey, thinking about just being happy in my life. I wake up and I put myself in the flow every single day. I do things that bring me joy. I take care of my body. I shift my mindset. If I find that my mind is saying, Michelle, you need to figure out how to make more money, or Michelle, you need to go do this, or you're so stupid for saying that. When I hear that voice, that is not flow. That is not being in alignment. That is me listening to the ego. And the ego likes to comment, it likes to judge, it likes to compare. So your awareness is what is going to keep you in that current. We have to be mindful in all moments to know when we're starting to get kicked out of the current. And now I'm going to explain what it looks like to be kicked out. So a lot of times your ego, the mind, will poke at your insecurities. And you'll be triggered by maybe an event. Like for me, because I lost my daughter, she was about 2 months old. For years, I would go and work out at a park. And I would have some days where I'd be fine. I'd be good. I'd be in the flow. Meanwhile, I didn't know about the flow back then, but I would be in the flow, feeling good. Other days, I might see a mom and their daughter swinging on the swings, and I would be like mid sprints on the field. I'd be like 10 sprints in, and I would fall to my knees. I would pretend like I was stretching if people were watching, and I would just sob because I just felt so triggered. And I felt so sad that I didn't get to have that experience on the swings like that mom did. And then I would get angry at that mom and be jealous of her. And it was just a trigger, right? So now that I'm aware of this, if I catch myself being triggered by that, I get to choose. Do I really want to be sad about that and be angry at that mom? No. Because I've done this healing work with my mentor, I now look at that mom and I'll walk over and say, you are so blessed. Your daughter is so cute. I loved watching you guys from afar. I just think it's amazing, the cute little connection that you have. And I'd be on my way. So Michelle has changed her perspective. So do you see the difference there? The ego wrecked me previously. It would drop me to my knees. It would tell me a story that I would never experience that, and that it's not fair that this happened to me. And it would just run this story over and over again. And I was listening to it, which, yeah, you're allowed to be sad when you experience loss, but do you really want to continue feeling that way for the rest of your life? I sure didn't. So I went on a healing journey to understand the mind and to see how, when you are out of alignment, it will poke at your weak spots. It will find your insecurities. A little voice will jump in and say, you're a terrible person for doing this in the past, because it knows your weak spots. It knows where you're going to feel the most pain. So when you're having a low moment in your life, your ego, oh, that is a beautiful time for your ego to take advantage of you. It wants to find every way to poke you in all your soft spots. So if you find yourself being triggered by one little scenario, it is so important to become aware and say, no, I choose differently. I want to get back in the flow. I want to feel good in my life. I want to spread love and kindness. I don't want to sit around crying all day long. It's okay to allow the pain to be there and let it pass. But being mindful in that moment to say, do I want to choose suffering or do I want to choose joy? And that's the difference on the manifesting journey of the people that don't manifest and the people that do. The people that do are the people that are making the conscious choice to say, I am not going to listen to that weak voice inside of my head that is telling me to be scared all the time. As soon as we literally step away from the voice and we see it, like I can literally pull myself away from my mind anytime I have a thought that's like, poor me, I lost my daughter. Poor me, I lost my dad. As soon as I have that thought, I know it's my ego and I do not listen to it. I say, no, I am not going to choose suffering. I'm not going to stay in this, Michelle is sad for the rest of her life. Screw that. You know, I was just telling a friend in the gym today that like a doctor once told me that I would never be able to do a push-up ever again. And after I had reconstructive elbow surgery, and I'm just that like determined person where I'm like, no, like, don't tell me I can't do something. I will fight. And I'm also the type of person, I don't know about all of you guys, but I thrive when there's struggle. And I didn't always know this about myself, but when there's nothing to fix in my life and when it's kind of like blah and I'm not really doing anything, I get really depressed and I just feel like blah. But throw a loss at me, throw a breakup, throw financial struggles. It's like I suit up and I'm like, I'm ready for my mission. Bring it on. Like, let's go. You know, F yeah, I'm ready for this. But I didn't always know that about myself. I always thought I was weak and I ran from those situations. But then I realized I do better in a performance setting. When I need to show up for somebody or for myself, I am there. And it's almost like those people like in an emergency situation or a first aid situation, I feel like I would be really good at that. Like I would be good at turning it on when you need to turn on. I wouldn't be somebody that would run away and be scared. And I noticed that when my dad was passing away, I was terrified to be alone with him when he passed. But of course, in the end, out of like 15 people, I ended up being so blessed to be alone with him. But it's like my soul showed up. I was playing music. I had a beautiful blanket over him. I had my favorite book that I was reading to him. And it was like I was completely grounded and saying, Dad, it's okay. I'm here with you. It's okay to transition. But 2 hours before that, I was like bawling my eyes out, not ready for it. So you guys might be like me, where we thrive when we're given a challenge. It's like, tell me I can't do something. Or if my ego tells me that, you know, I'm weak, I'm like, no, I am stronger than you. You're not going to win. I'm going to get back in the current. I'm going to get back in the flow. So I challenge you all. When you catch yourself being triggered, your ego is poking at your weak spots. It's telling you you're not good enough. It's telling you you're never going to get your manifestation. It's telling you all the things that you stress about. Pause, step back from it and say, no, sorry, you're not getting me this time. I'm winning. I'm going to go distract myself. I'm going to go think positive thoughts. I'm going to go dance. I'm going to go sing. I'm going to go play. I'm going to do something that lights my heart on fire. I'm going to go be around people that are so fun to be around. And I'm not going to choose to listen to this voice that wants to keep me in a dark hole for the rest of my life. Because that's what the ego will do. If you let it get a grip on you, it'll keep you in your addictions. It'll keep you in that little box and you'll never be able to break free from the mind. There's one more thing I want to add here. When you are kicked out of the flow, sometimes it's meant to be. And sometimes you don't have control of when you get back in the flow, because there might be lessons that need to be learned. You might need to know what it feels like to be out of alignment. And a lot of times that's where the healing occurs. That's where the lessons occur. That's where the learning. And in order for me to sit here and speak about this, do you know how many times I would call my mentor in a panic and be like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be in my life. I feel like I should be, you know, looking for this, or if I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I would be in such a panic. And she would be like, Michelle, your mind is wrecking you right now. You are worried about everything. You're letting your anxiety get the best of you. And she would whip me back into my current. And if sometimes just hearing her voice was so soothing, and her accent, and it just was like, I'm safe, I'm okay, nothing bad's going to happen to me, because my mind is very, very tricky. Your girl has a really wicked mind, and so do all of you. And when you get stronger on this path and you get better, you get more resilient, right? So you're in the current, you're in the flow, you get kicked out. Now you're good. And you're like, oh, I'm getting right back in, getting right back in. Well, guess what's going to happen? Your ego is going to poke you even harder. It's going to trigger you even more in maybe some of the wounds that you even forgot about, right? Like things that you haven't stressed about in years. They will start to bubble up to the surface, and you might catch yourself thinking about somebody from the past, or a situation from the past and you're like, why am I thinking about this? That is your ego pulling up from the surface something that it knows will hit your weak spots because you are so spiritually strong now and you don't let anything kick you out of the flow. It's going to find something to kick you out. And that's where I struggled a lot because I'm like, wait, I'm doing this work. I am being mentored. I am putting in the hours. Why am I still getting kicked out of the flow? Why am I not manifesting my desires? And it was because my ego was just getting louder and I was falling for it. I was listening to it. I was letting it tell me that my manifestations weren't coming when they were. And that's what I'm here to teach you. I'm here to get you to see that your mind will try so it'll conjure up the most elaborate story to keep you in your misery. And we have to see that it's an illusion. You are not your mind. We are souls, and we are not meant to drive the car, to row the boat. We are meant to be in the current and let life take us where we're supposed to go. If we're at a job we don't like, we ask the universe, thank you for bringing me to this job. I see what I've learned here. I've seen where I've grown. I would like to move somewhere else now. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we be in the current and we just coast until our next opportunity is brought to us through an email, through a suggestion. Hey, you should work here. Or through you finding an ad somewhere on the computer, it will come to you. You don't get in the car and drive to that next place that you don't even know exists. So understanding that your mind is so incredibly strong, but you are stronger. Okay. When you feel nervous throughout your day, you pause and say, F this. You are not controlling me. I am in control of my body. I'm going to shake my arms out so I don't feel nervous. I'm going to be strong in my body and say, no, I am in this body and I am deciding how it's going to feel. So I hope that empowers you. So this whole video was about you understanding what it feels like to be in alignment. And what it really feels like is you have none of that chatter going on in your head. You're not having any insecurities. You're not fearing anything. You're kind of just going with the flow. Life seems fun. There's no worries. You're just in alignment. That's when your manifesting is at its peak. And that's what you want to reach for every single day. And it's an art. It's such an art to choose the joy over the suffering. Because believe me, I've been there. I chose to stay in the suffering for years. And then I got sick and tired of being sick and tired and being scared and filled with anxiety. And then I was like, no, I'm choosing the joy now. And then my mentor came along and she taught me all about this. She gave me my strength back. She taught me how to control my mind, which essentially controlled my anxiety and it controlled my depression and it controlled everything. Because guess what? The anxiety and the depression were literally just illusions that my mind was creating to keep me sad. So once you can see it as an illusion and it's separate from you, that's not your spirit. Your soul would never judge you, tell you that you're stupid, tell you that you're not going to, achieve anything. It would never beat you up. That is not a part of your being. The only aspect of you that would ever judge, compare, poke at your insecurities is the mind. And the mind likes to keep you in a box. And your job is to break free and to get back into that current and in the flow. So every day, wake up and choose to be in the flow. Be mindful when you get kicked out, because we all get kicked out. I still do every single day. I have to notice the thought that tells me, Michelle, nobody's going to watch your videos. You're never going to get enough readings. You're not going to help people the way you set out to help people. You're going to leave this world being single with no more kids. So I'm not going to listen to that voice. And I'm going to jump back in the current and say, I trust. I'm so glad I just said that. Thank you guys for giving me that word. The trust is the most important piece of the current. When you're in the flow, when you're in alignment, you're trusting that the universe is bringing you everything you need. And you're not gripping and you're not forcing. Okay. So when you're out of the current, you are not trusting the universe. The mind has got you and it has made you forget all about the universe and the magic. and you might feel down, you might not feel magical, you might not be getting signs anymore, that's the number one sign you're out of the current. Okay, so keep the faith in order to stay in the flow. All right, lovies, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Thank you so much for watching. Hope I didn't go on too many tangents. I'm gonna have to watch this back to make sure it's good before I post it, but normally my one time through is enough. So thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much love. And when you catch yourself out of the current, just remember what I said. You do not listen to that mind. You jump right back in the flow and go do something that makes your heart sing. All right, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.